Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Dairy Girl Season 1, Episode 3. Now, this episode might be considered a little controversial. It depends on how you look at it and depends on what pisses you off. If you're a highly religious person, especially like a Catholic person, then this might offend you to a certain degree. But if you're one of those people that just like humor and crude humor for what it is and aren't that offended, then you're gonna probably just laugh at this episode and stuff like that. But hey, you've just now been warned, so there you go. Don't say I didn't warn you. Now, this is probably one of the most crudest, mature, humorous episodes I've ever seen because of what it deals with. And I couldn't believe they actually did it. You probably would never see nothing like this happening in an American comedy show. And if you do, it's probably gonna be on Comedy Central at the most part, or in a movie. But the fact that this is a television show and like a family comedy, like a black humor show, that's just like insane. So, okay. So the four girls and James, they're all in Aaron's room. And it starts off with Erin looking at a photo and she's mourning because someone has just died close to her. And she is grief stricken, she is heartbroken, she just can't take it. She's at the point where she's about to start weeping tears, like she is in serious moaning. And the picture is that of her Uncle Joe and the doll. And she's just like, just upset, sad, because she talks about how she loved this person and how he was taken too soon and all this other stuff. So then everyone else in the room is all like, look, we got to study for the exams. Well, Claire's like, we got to study for the exams, and like we barely studied and the exams are very important. Michelle is kind of like, screw that and everything. You need to stop all your crying and moping and all this other stuff. And everybody's just giving her a hard time. And she's just like, well, I'm sorry, but like, it's just someone I love. And maybe you haven't loved somebody and blah, blah, blah. Just something like that. You know what I'm saying? And, and when somebody's taken from you, it hurts. And then so they're still going on and on. And then somebody's all like, get over it. It's just a dog. I'm like, wait, what? Because in the photograph, you mostly see Grandpa Joe. The dog is at the bottom, but you really don't pay attention to him. So I'm thinking he's dead because he's an old man and stuff. But no, she's weeping over her dog. And I get it, people love their dogs, you know what I'm saying? But it's just the way she was going on. I thought she was talking about Grandpa Joe. So I love that misdirection and stuff. And so, like, somebody opens the curtains and Claire realizes it's sunlight. And she's like, and Claire's like the most religious one of all. So she's always saying like religious passages and stuff like that. So she's like, oh, sweet mother Jesus and all stuff like that. And then she's all like, I can't believe it's morning. Like we've been up all night and we haven't even studied. And she's all like, and I think Michelle's like, we did study a little bit. She's like, not that much. Stuff. We're still like on the first like chapter or something like that. And so yeah, they pretty much just had like a slumber party with James, and they've been studying all night for the exam, but they have barely studied. And so Claire is just freaking out, and then it finally hits Michelle. She's like, oh yeah, we are screwed. So as they're like down below, they're getting breakfast and stuff. And of course, the Grandpa Joe, him and Jerry, they just can't get along and stuff. And then Erin is still going on about her dog. And then Grandpa Joe looks at James and he's all like, hey boy, did you spend the night too? And he's like, yeah. He's like, in Erin's room? He's like, well, yeah. And then he turns to Jerry. He's like, Jerry, you do something about that. There ain't no boy supposed to be sleeping in your daughter's bedroom, even though he is gay. And James is all like, I'm not gay. And Grandpa just like, you're right. I'm just like, Lord have mercy. Poor James, man. Poor James. Like, I can't even like review this show without laughing because it's just that funny, man. Seriously. So anyway, Erin is just telling her mom, she's all like, oh mom, she's all like, I'm so sad about Toto. Toto's her dog. And she's all like, I don't think I'll be able to go to school and take the exam because I'm a little under the weather. And her mom is just like, I don't care, you're going to school and everything. And so, like, yeah, the dog was buried in the backyard. The mom just got through burying and stuff like that. So the girls and James, they go off to school. So at some point in time, somebody brings up this woman's name, and Grandpa Joe knows that woman. He doesn't like this woman. I forget why he doesn't like this woman, but he just hates this woman. He tells everybody, do not mention this woman's name in my presence ever again and stuff. Let's put a pin in that for now. So the gang's off to school, and as they're walking down the street, Aaron sees a dog. There's like a military officer petting him. And Aaron's all like, oh my God, this looks just like Toto. And everybody's all like, your dog is dead, Aaron. She's like, I swear to God, it's him. He's like risen from like the dead or something like that. Or it's just a dog that absolutely looks like. And then so she's like, here boy, here boy. And then she just starts chasing after the dog and he takes off running. So as she's chasing after the dog, everybody else has to chase after Aaron. And Claire's all like, we're going to be late for school and late for the exam. And then Aaron's all like, this is more important. This is my Toto. And they're all like, no, the dog is dead and stuff like that. So the dog runs into like a chapel. And there's an old lady there. It's the lady that Grandpa Joe doesn't like. So the lady says something rude to them and then she leaves. And then while they're all in the church, you know, Michelle's doing her cussing thing in church and like Aaron's freaking out because the exam. And Aaron is just like looking for the dog and stuff like that. And then she hears the dog barking. And then so she runs up the stairs to go find the dog. So she still thinks it's her dog. And the dog is like literally peeing on the floor. And so at some point in time, Claire sees a statue of Mary and she thinks it'd be a great idea to pray for their exams because they haven't studied and they need a miracle. So then she thinks, so as they're all on the ground praying, you know, Michelle's doing her whole like, look, I'm not going to promise I'll never do this again and stuff. You know how I am. And let's just like call it what it is and stuff. And then at some point in time, Claire thinks she saw the statue smirk. Because the thing is, Claire is high on caffeine. She's literally had about like 24 cans trying to study for that exam, and her hands are shaking and everything like that. She's completely spazzing out, so she thought she saw a smirk. So then Olaf's like, oh, I see a smirk too. You know, Olaf's just like nuts in the head. And then so Michelle's just like playing along. She's like, oh, I see a smirk too. Let's all pray for a miracle. Maybe we'll have to take the exam. So they're all like praying and everything. And next thing you know, Claire is about to pass literally out because she sees tears coming from the statue Mary's eyes. They all assume it is a miracle and everything. You know, you heard these before, like some compensation gets on like a statue, it cries tears, it's a big thing, and so they think it's a sign of God, and so they're all like in their holy moment and stuff. And Erin comes down. She knows why the thing is crying tears because she looks up and there's like a hole in the ceiling. See, that's the same spot that the dog pissed in, and there's a hole there. So it's leaking piss on the statue and causing it to look like tears is coming out the Mary statue's eyes. Erin's kind of like, and then she's about to tell them the truth, but they're all like, no, this is like a miracle, blah, 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 blah. And once everybody finds out, we'll be like famous and everything. And then we probably want to take our exams. And Erin's just kind of like, well, yeah, it's a miracle. Stuff. So yes, that's like the first, well, maybe really the only, well, yeah, but the first controversial thing in this entire episode is, you know, because people take their religion very, very, very seriously, and they take Mary very seriously, and the fact that dog piss is dripping down from the statue's face, some people might get offended by it. So like they're at school and they're at Sister Michael's office, and like they're explaining, you know, like what happened with the miracle and all this and that. And then Sister Michael's like, she invited a guest to come talk to y'all. and it's a pastor guy. Now I forget his name, but when everybody sees the pastor dude, they're like fanning over him because of how he looks. Even James is fanning over him, but James is fanning over him for a completely different reason. Aaron, Ola, and Michelle, they're just like head over heels over this dude. They're just like in love and they're like flirting a little bit with him and getting him the goo goo eyes. Claire could care less because all she could think about the exam. And also, there's another reason why Claire doesn't care, which I didn't even see coming, but that's in this series review. Now, you might be asking, why is straight James fanning over this dude too? Well, James knows he's an outcast, a nerd, and he thinks this pastor dude is just so good looking, he thinks he's so cool that he got all these girls fanning on him. So James wants to be cool too. James asks him about like his hair and what he puts in it, because James wants to change his hairstyle. He also wants to change up his look. Now, Pastor Dude's a little weird. Like, he's talking to them about the miracle as they're fanning out on him, and then he tells them, "Is this a sign of God, girls?" And then he stares with a blank face, and he's like, "Well, is it?" And then it's kind of like, well, he's the pastor dude. Shouldn't he be, like, believing all in God? But why is he not? So then, let's put a pin in that for a little bit later. The whole gang has now gotten there, and they're all like excited. James now has a new hairstyle. It's like a curly Jerry. It's more of a curly Jerry curl than normal. He put like a lot of mousse in it. It looks weird. And he's wearing an all black outfit. He's trying to like mask the pastor and stuff. And so Michelle is telling them how like, how they're gonna be so like famous and like how people think they're like rock stars now. And the news media wants to interview them and take pictures and all this other stuff. And so Erin is still feeling a little guilty because she knows exactly what this so-called miracle is all about. It's dog piss and everything. The pastor dude is like talking to them some more, and Erin's explaining, like she was just in the street and she saw this doll that looks like Toto, and it can't be because Toto's dead. And then he ran to the church, and then the dude's all like, this was a miracle that this doll led you to the church, this ghost dog, if you will, and everything. And he's all like, I want to see the body. I want to see the burial. No, not the body. He wants to see the burial site of where this dog is at and everything. And so like, I guess, or maybe he thinks it's like the dog resurrected itself, and came back to life by the hand of God or something like that. So he wants to see the burial site. So like, next thing you know, the kids, they all head out to the grave site and they start digging up the dead body because they know that like, okay, the pastor dude is suspecting there to be an empty like grave and stuff because he thinks the dog resurrected itself and dug out. Erin knows for a fact that did not happen because it was merely just another dog she saw that looked like her dog. So she's freaking out and she decides to confess to the rest of the group. She told them it's not a miracle. The dog is not resurrected itself because it was just dog piss that caused the so-called miracle. They start digging up the grave site because they're just gonna get rid of the dead body and then put the dirt in the little box back in the ground and pretend like the dog actually dug himself out. I can't believe they're doing this. Claire cannot believe they're doing this. Claire's all like, you're disgracing like a grave and everything, and you're gonna grab dead body and stuff. And they're just digging and a digging and a digging. And then next thing you know, Erin opens up the box and she's like, I can't look. And everybody's like, and so the biggest reveal happened of them all. There's no body. It's an empty box in a grave. Aaron's just like, what the world is going on? And then the pastor dude shows up, like snuck up behind him. He's like, my God, it's a miracle. and Aaron's just kind of like, what the world? Like there should be like a dead body in that box. So she's completely confused. And so, like, Mary is kind of like, just freaking out a little bit. She having her head down. She's not really wanting to talk. And so, Erin is kind of suspicious and everything. And so, as they're all talking, Aaron knows something's up because after they dug up the grave and everything, there's no like dog there. The dog is completely missing. And Aaron knows this thing did not resurrect itself, crawl off the ground, and all this other stuff. So she suspects her mom is up to something. And so she corners her mom by herself in a room and she's all like, spill it and everything. Her mom is just kind of like trying to deny stuff at first, but then she's all like, fine, your dog is not dead. I gave him away to that woman that your grandpa Joe hates because her dog died and she's lonely and she needed a dog and I didn't want a dog. And Aaron is just pissed that her mom would stage a death of the dog, make her upset, and then give her dog like away and stuff. So it cuts from that, and at some point in time, they're outside, and so because Michelle is so happy that this whole miracle thing, because they're getting free stuff now, and now they can get their photo shoot. So they're posing with the pastor and everything, and all this other stuff, and Aaron still hasn't told the pastor dude, you know, what's really going on and stuff. So she can't believe that her actual real dog was the one she saw and it was just given away. So she's talking to the pastor dude, and the pastor dude is just kind of like, you know, he was gonna give up on his religion. That's that part when he was at the Catholic school and he asked him, was it a sign of God? Because he was literally about to give up on his faith because he's just not sure no more. And also he tells her because he has an attraction to another woman. Aaron is like, oh my God, she thinks it's her. Now, mind, she's a 16-year-old girl. This is a grown 30-something-year-old man. But she's totally in love and thinks he's in love with her. So he's telling her, you know, it was just an attraction. It was like love at first sight. It was just a feeling. And she's just melting and giving him the Google eyes and stuff. And she's like, yes, I totally understand what you're saying. But then he's all like, but now because of this whole miracle, he knows that there is a God and he's not going to give up his faith. And Aaron's like, no, you have to give it up and everything. And then she's all like, I have something to tell you. And then she tells him that the dog's not dead. Like, my mom just faked his death and gave him away. And then, like, the miracle that happened at the statue is nothing but dog piss and everything. But she's all like, but that's great because now me and you, we can be together and stuff. And he just looks at her and walks off. And so she's completely rejected. And her heart is like a broken. So James is now upset because he sees the pastor dude walking away upset. And then he talks to the pastor dude and he's all like, something, they both have God in common. And so the next scene cuts like the next day and somebody brings in like a newspaper. It's their photo shoot. And it's them all taking a picture, all of them are in the picture, but then it's like the headline. I forget exactly what it said, but it says something about like wicked liars or something like that. And because now people, because the pastor dude literally went and told the press that, hey, all this is fake and blah, 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 and stuff like that. So now the kids are labeled as like liars. And so next thing you know, here comes Sister Michaels, opening the door and tells them kids it's ready. I'm thinking, oh, they got detention or something like that. Nope, it's the exam room. They still have to take their exam. They still have not studied for their exam. Poor kids, man. So yeah, that was episode 3 of season 1. These controversial episode, if you will. And so, yeah. I mean, yeah, is it offensive to religious people? Yeah. Was it hilarious and off the wall and unexpected? Oh, you better believe it was. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.